Okay, hi everyone. Today we are learning how to take something in standard form in an x squared form and then write it in a vertex form to help us graph it in that nice vertex form, or A, H, and K. We did a lot of IXL work when it came to graphing A, H, and K, and hopefully you guys found that to be actually pretty easy and pretty routine. It's almost like, again, graphing a line, or M and B. So how do we get to that vertex form? So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about us graphing a vertex form as a review, and then we'll lead up into us making that form, okay? So let's do y is equal to x minus 3 squared minus 1, okay? All right, let's go ahead and graph this first. So is this going to be a line or not a line? This doesn't look like a line to me because of the x squared. So we're going to say, okay, this form is y is equal to a x minus h squared plus k. This gives me a hint of where all my values should be. Yeah, okay. So from here, we want to declare what's the a, what's the h, and what's the k. A is equal to 1, h is equal to 3, and k is equal to -1. Knowing this, we know our vertex is what numbers? What do we use for our vertex? The vertex is x and y, but we use the letters h and k here. And that tells us where the center of our parabola is. Our h and k is 3 and -1. Perfect. That means on my graph on the right, at 1, 2, 3, -1, we can put a dot. That's the center of the parabola. And the parabola can go up, something like this. It could be narrow, it could be wide, right? All that depends on the a value. And hopefully you remember our trick here. If the a value is 1, it means one step over, one step up. One step over, one step up. 2 steps over, what's 2 squared? 2 squared is 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 squared is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have this pattern of a parabola that looks like this U shape. And that's 100%. That's what a parabola looks like. And did I do any work? No, I spent all my time deciphering, okay? Deciphering what was wrong. Deciphering what the characteristics were. Some of you guys are very observant people. So before you even act, you already scoped out the situation. You know what everyone's doing. You know where everyone should be. And that's what we're doing. We're scoping out the situation, okay? Now, hopefully you agree with me that if it's in this nice form, this is what we call the vertex form, the graph is very easy to graph. Now, what if it wasn't in this vertex form? Well, how would I deal with this? So let's go ahead and give us our other version. Y is equal to x squared minus 6x. Let's do plus 8. Okay. So how can I graph this version? We talked about it early on that we could just use a t-table. We could just create a t-table and start plugging values. We'll plug in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll plug in all these values here, but it takes forever. 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 8. 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 8. 2 squared minus 6 times 2 plus 8, right? You get the pattern, right? I would just have to do all the work out. I would have to multiply it out, and I have no clue if that would really show me where the center of the parabola is. Maybe it's just the right side. Maybe it's just the left side. Maybe I'm way off. Imagine if I just gave you Google Maps, right? Just a random map someplace. Is that going to be near your house? There's no guarantees. There's 99.9% chance not being near your house. So the problem with us doing a table is that we're not quite sure where the center is. So because we don't know where the center is, we don't know what numbers to plug in. We could be really far away from the center and we would never get that curve. We might just get a weird line. Okay, so here is our method today. This is called completing the square. This method, completing the square, is our way of changing a quadratic x squared problem into a vertex form. Okay, so this is a method that you guys 100% need to pay attention to. It is not a hard method. Hopefully the way I teach it makes sense to you, but you have to listen right now. If not, you will not get it. If you try looking at a solver online and I see you copying a solver method, you will get a 0 on this problem because it is not the way I teach it. And oftentimes it's a more complicated way. Okay. So I'm teaching it this way so you guys can see what I find to be one of the easier ways of teaching it. Okay. Almost like a shortcut method. So here we go. Y is equal to x squared minus 6x plus 8. So here is what we need to do. We need to try to get this to bubble up. Our goal, this is the goal, is we need to get it to bubble up. Well, is this a perfect square? Now, let's talk about what a perfect square is. If I write x squared plus 6x plus 9, that's a perfect square. Let me ask you, what numbers multiply to become 9 and still add up to become 6? What numbers multiply to become 9 but still add up to become 6? Turns out 3 does. And x squared plus 6x plus 9 is a perfect square. X times x is x squared, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 plus 3 is our 6x. Let me give you another perfect square. X squared plus 4x plus 4. A perfect square? What numbers multiply to become 4, but still add up to become 4? X plus 2. See, thank you, perfect. This is a perfect square. Give me another one. X squared plus 10x plus 10. Oh, not 10, plus 25. That's a perfect square. What numbers do I multiply to become 25? Got it. But add up to become 10. X plus 5. And so there's a little pattern here. Now, are all numbers going to be perfect squares? No, 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 no. Please look at what we have here. Do we have a number times itself to become 8? No, we don't. But the goal is to write this in this nice perfect square form because that's what we have. Let me go ahead and scroll back up. If you see this, it's x minus 3 squared. That's that perfect square we're going for. That's what we're calling it, complete the square. Get this to be a perfect square. Now, this is going to be a story of borrowing some money. So here we go. We're going to take x minus 6x plus 8, and we're going to force it into a mold. We're going to use our math skills and force it to be a square. So let me show you how we do that. To get a square, here is a trick. Look at the middle term. Look at the middle term. What do you notice about this middle term and me writing it as a perfect square? How do I get from 6 to 3, 4 to 2, 10 to 5? X squared plus 8x plus 16 is equal to x plus, what do you think? 4 times 4 is 16, but also what's half of 8? 4, right? So that's actually our first goal. This pattern here is not new, but is a pattern that we can cheat with. So what is that number I look at? We don't look at 8. We tried 8. 8. Oh man, I wish you were a perfect square, but you're not. So okay, I'm going to go on to 6 then. What's half of 6? Would you guys be okay? Half of 6, specifically negative 6 would be negative 3. So first step is half the middle. Oh, that's terrible writing. Let me rewrite that. And what we're going to do is we're going to say y is equal to parentheses squared. Okay, we're already hopping right into it. X minus 3. We're hopping into it. That's it. Divide this by 2. Half. It's that easy. That's all you do. Just take the middle, divide by 2. Okay? Now, as I mentioned before, x minus 3 squared. Okay, I did the plus version here. What is 3 times 3? What should have 3 times 3 been? Okay, what should have 3 times 3 been? It's not 8, right? Isn't 3 times 3 9? So here's what we're going to do. Have you ever gone to a market and you had $2 and you wanted to buy something worth $3? What do? You go ask your parents, hey mom, can I have another $1? Don't you try to borrow money to make it a perfect set so you can buy something? That's what we're going to do. We're going to borrow. Except please take a look at how I'm going to borrow. What number do we need to get x minus 3 squared? It's not 8. If I try multiplying this out, these are not equal yet. So here's what I do. I borrow 9. What's negative 3 times negative 3? Please take a look here. I'm going to borrow 9. Now in math, can I just, for instance, erase this and write, oh, okay, I'm gonna just borrow 9 real quick. Can I just do that? Can I just stick in numbers wherever I want? You can't do that in math, can you? Right? In math, it's all about being fair, being equal. You can't just make up numbers out of nowhere. So this is what I do. If you borrow $1 from your mom, don't you eventually have to pay her back? So don't you owe your mom $1 now? You have plus $1, but you owe your mom $1. So you have a minus $1. So the plus $1 and minus $1 cancel each other out. So this is what I'm going to do. In order for me to borrow money to make sure I can buy this, I'm going to say I'm going to plus 9 and minus 9 at the same time. What's 9 minus 9? Isn't that 0? So I am really writing this way. So everyone watch. Do you see I wrote it on top? It's because I'm being lazy. And you guys are masters of lazy, right? Like me. So this is why I write on top. Do you want me to erase and write this instead? I would have to erase the whole line. Because this is, take a look, this is what we want. Don't we want this to be my perfect square? That's my perfect square right here. Sorry. Oops. That's this guy. That's this guy right here. So I'm gonna do this a couple times so you guys can catch the rhythm. So I don't want to have to rewrite it. Folks, I don't want you guys to have to rewrite this whole line. So instead, I'm gonna show you guys the method I want you guys to use. And everyone has to do this. Write on your paper right now, please write plus 9 and minus 9 on top. Where did I get the 9? I got the 9 from the 3. We divide by 2 and square it. 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 And if I take 6 divided by 2 is 3, we square 3 becomes 9. Now my next move is, let's go ahead and finish this off. So please pay attention to me right now. We have x squared minus 6x plus 9. That is my perfect square now. What is left over? The 9, negative 9, and the 8. What is, we're going to combine like terms. What's negative 9 plus 8? That is negative 1. We have our completed square. How much time did it take me? It took me 1 line. But all the work you need for these level 1 problems, please pay attention to this. All the work you need for these level 1 problems is 1 line of work. We go from x squared minus 6x plus 8 to become x minus 3 squared minus 1. And guess what? That's the graph that we started off with. So my goal is to say, hey, graphing x squared minus 6x plus 8 is actually a lot of work. I would have to do the table. Remember, we have to do this table right here. But if I do this in a smarter technique way, I could graph this in just 1 line. Okay, let's go ahead and do another problem. And we're actually going to do a couple of these at the same time, okay? So now we're done. Let's just say we're done. Bam. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. So these are level 1. Okay, level 1 means A is 1, meaning the front value is going to be a positive 1. That's the easiest one we can do. We'll not even spend 10 seconds on these problems once you get used to it. Level 2 will be harder. You'll spend 30 seconds on it. Level 3, you could spend up to 2 minutes because you're now level 3. Okay. If you guys play any type of instrument, when you play level 1, like it's just beep, 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 beep. Anyone can do it. But once you get to like level 3, level 4, it's going to take you some work. And that's this idea of math, right? We have different levels here. So let's look at our first problem. Y is equal to x squared plus 8x. Let's do plus 17. Okay. That looks like a crazy big number. Our next one is going to be y is equal to x squared minus 4x. Let's do minus 5, plus 5, okay? Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so we want to complete the square. So I want you guys to bubble up. First thing you write y is equal to, y is equal to, and then we're gonna bubble up. Please, everyone, bubble up, bubble up. We're gonna write our perfect square. These are all level 1 problems. How do I know they're level 1? Is because there is an invisible 1 in the front. Okay, there's an invisible 1 in the front. There's an invisible 1 in the front. If this was a 3, a negative, anything else but a 1, this is another problem that we're dealing with later. Right now we're dealing with easy level 1 problems because we can do them in less than 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, now what do we say we do with this middle term here? Because 17 isn't a perfect square, so this isn't a nice perfect square problem. We can't complete the square. Oh no, no squares, walk away, defeated. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to instead look at the middle term. What would the middle term be? Okay, so let's look at the process that we did before, please. Looking back, I took the middle term, and how did I get to 3? We just divided it by 2. I want you guys to do that right now. Thank you. That's it. Take the middle term and say x plus positive 8 divided by 2 is 4. And if you notice, right, I don't write x squared anymore. I took the square out, so it's just x. We're completing the square already, okay? On the right side, what is the middle term? And how would I get to this next level? How would I complete the square on negative 4? X minus 2. So we divide the middle term, got it, by 2. Or you cut it in half, however you want to look at it. We divide it in half. Oh, we divide it in 2. We cut it in half, okay? So I want you guys to look at this third one, right? You guys don't need to write this third one. Y is equal to x squared minus 10x minus 26. That's a plus 26. What do you think my perfect square is? Oh, darn it. X minus what? Okay. In your heads, what do you guys think is going to be? Okay, you got it. Okay. Right, perfect. See how fast that was? So I see a couple of you guys are responding in the chat. Perfect, thank you. Bam, that's right, just divide by 2. Because we're trying to get that perfect square. And if the 17 ain't gonna help me out, I'm gonna go ask someone else. If the 5 ain't gonna help me out, go ask someone else. The 26, these aren't perfect squares. I'm gonna go find some other help. And the hint is, fine, go look at the middle term. Now, we're going to say, hey, isn't x times x, x squared? Isn't 4 times 4, 16? You don't see a 16, do you? So we're gonna go get our own 16. So here's what we do. Everyone make sure you're paying attention. We square this. See how we're squaring it? So let's square it. Isn't 4 times 4, 16? We're gonna write plus 16 minus 16 on top. Because 17 is not a 16. It's not, okay? But I still need my 16. Look on the right. Look on the right, please. What's my perfect C value? What's my perfect C value? What do I wish this was supposed to be here? All right, I wanted what? But I married a 5. The perfect square here, negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. And if I borrow 4, I need to make sure I pay it back. Good job. Okay, now that hopefully you guys see the pattern, help me with this third problem. You guys help me with this third problem. What do you think I'm going to write as my perfect C value? What am I going to write up here? That's my perfect C value. So we take the negative 5 and we square it. What do you think that's going to be? Negative 5 is a plus 25. Good job. If I add 25, I need to make sure I minus 25. And hopefully you see here, this is my perfect square now. This is my perfect square. The rest I will pay off later in credit card payments. I'll deal with that later. I just want to make sure it looks nice and pretty in my house. If you ever had your mom tell you clean up your room and you're in a rush, don't you just throw everything in the closet? You make it nice and pretty and you deal with the rest later. And that's what we're doing here with this completing the square. We're trying to get this perfect, nice, pretty square, and we'll pay the rest off next month. Okay, so this here is my completed perfect square. See, I took the 16. That's my perfect square. What's the leftover? We combine this here. Combine our leftovers. We combine our leftovers. We combine our leftovers. So let's do it. What is 17 minus 16 or negative 16 plus 17? Hopefully you realize it's just a simple plus 1. And I wrote these problems to be this simple, okay? Plus 1. This is our standard vertex form. Can you guys automatically tell me what the vertex of this problem is? The vertex is at -4, 1. Done. We did this in one line. Let's go and look at the next problem over here. What's my leftovers? -4 plus 5 is a +1. We are now in vertex form. You know what the vertex is? Hopefully you can see it's 2, 1. That's the last step over here. 26 minus 25. Hopefully you see it's a +1 also. Our vertex is 5, 1. This is how we complete the square for level 1 problems. If you see a parabola and you want to write this in the vertex form, we follow these steps for level 1 problems. Okay, and it's super easy if you could divide it by 2. That's okay. All this stuff is okay. What if the middle number was a odd number? Do any of the steps change? Answer is no, the steps don't change. The arithmetic will change a little bit because we have to have a fraction now, but the steps are exactly the same. Okay, so let's do this one more time. Let's see if you guys can get it. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys do it. Y is equal to x squared minus, let's do minus, trying to think of an even number that we haven't used yet. Minus 12x, I'm gonna say minus 3, okay? So this will be a large C number, that's fine. All right, go ahead and complete the square. Y is equal to blank squared. Go ahead and complete the square. Let's see how far you guys can get. I'll slowly walk with you guys in just a moment as you guys do this. Let's see if you guys are able to figure out the steps yourself now. You can go back and look at what we did before. Am I going to write x squared? Or am I just going to write x? Okay, so 3 squared, no, the square root of 3, that's not something we can use. So we're going to move on to our next hint right here. So what do we do with that -12? We always cut it in half. When you have a perfect square, we talked about it before, it's always half, 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 right? It's always half, 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 half. And that is the major hint of this. It's just half. So the half of 12 is, for us, -6. Okay. But when I see x minus 6 squared, when I square it, you guys square everything. Square the x, square the 6. What's 6 squared? It should be 36. That's not 36. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write plus 36 minus 36. Remember, we had to borrow money from someplace because I'm still having my party. Still having my party. And then, sorry, that looks terrible. Okay, and now we're going to combine our leftovers. The plus 36 was used in our perfect square. Now the -36 minus 6 is -39. Yep, perfect. And what's my vertex? 6 comma -39. See how fast we can get there? This is literally in like one line, okay? Now what if this was a fraction? Fine, let's do the fraction version. Let's do the fraction version. If I give you a fraction version, let's go ahead and do talk by fractions now. Okay, what if I write y is equal to x squared plus 3x minus, let's do plus, yeah, -4, okay? So we're gonna do exactly the same steps. We said, since this is still considered like a level, we just got a level like 1.1, right? It's a little bit harder than level 1 because of the fraction. I want to call it level 2 yet. So we do exactly the same steps. I'm going to bubble up. I'll just call this bubbling up. Oop, bubble up. And we're going to write our x plus. Now, how would I cut 3 in half? Many of you guys will say the half of $3 is $1.50, right? And that is 100% right. You're not wrong there. But can I make your life so much easier? Okay, catch this. If I see anything else, I'm going to think you probably use a solver. I'm trying to make your life super easy. You just write exactly what I see. Good job. 3/2. That's it. Please, when you cut something in half, just write a 2 on the bottom. That's a fraction. Half of 3 is 3/2. I'm not kidding. That's all you have to write. Please do that. Please, please, please. Okay, write 3/2. If it's 5, 5/2. If it's 7, 7/2. If it's 101, 101/2. Please do that. It'll make your life so much easier. So let's go through our steps for our regular problem. We take our middle number, we divide by 2. Check. Got it. What's my next step? We say what do we have to borrow to get that perfect C? What's my perfect C? We square it. We take -6 times -6 to get 36. We are also going to square 3/2. What is 3/2 squared? Well, hopefully you remember this. When I'm multiplying a fraction or doing exponents, it's just the top by the top and bottom by the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 times 2 is 4. Please do that in your head. 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 2 is 4. So at the end, it's going to be plus 9/4. And this is really the perfect square. This is the perfect square. X squared plus 3x plus 9/4. That is legit a perfect square. If I add 9/4, I'm going to subtract 9/4. That's always the pattern. Remember, if we always add it, we always are going to subtract it. Now you can combine these two. Now, this is the part where it gets a little tricky. You guys ready for this? It gets a little tricky. Because can I combine a fraction with a whole number? No, they have to have a common denominator, don't they? Remember common denominator when I'm adding fractions? So here is my next trick. I'm going to change -4. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? If I have $4, how many quarters do we have, right? Divide by 4 is actually a quarter. How many quarters do we have if you have $4? Anyone know? You guys type in the chat. How many quarters do we have if you have $4? 16? That is correct. Right, 16. Thank you, William. So yes, 16. That's right. $1 is 4 quarters, $2 is 8 quarters, $3 is 12 quarters, and $4 is 16 quarters. Okay, but we're going to do that in this way. Watch. If I want to change something to quarters, I need the 4 here. See, I need to have them have a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply. Take a look here. It by the simple fraction 4/4. Because when you're multiplying something to give it a common denominator, remember you multiply the top and bottom. And hopefully you realize what's 4 times 4? This should end up as minus 16/4. Now, here is something I need you guys to for sure understand. Is 16/4 the same as -4? It is. I just made change. $4 is the exact same thing as 16 quarters. Please understand what I'm doing here is I can't combine these because they don't have a common denominator. So I make change. I make change so that we can combine these two now. So what is -19 minus 16? That's going to bring us back to a -25/4. Yes, it looks a little ugly, but should you be afraid of it? No. Okay. We're going to do this again. We're going to do this again. Here we go. Y is equal to x squared minus 5x, okay, 5x minus 6, okay? Here we go. X squared minus 5x minus 6. Okay, so let's complete the square. Can I divide 5 by 2? We can't half it. So we write 5 over what? 5 over what? Okay, I want you guys to think about it. You guys can be at home, hopefully you're saying it. 5/2, that is perfectly right. Good job. Now, I need to, that's not 5/2 squared, right? That's not 25/4. So we're going to have to borrow money. We're going to borrow plus 25/4. I'm going to pay back 25/4. Okay, that's our perfect square. So we said this before. My perfect square is going to be x squared minus 5x plus 25. That's this guy here. These are all one group. Now we have to deal with the rest of it. Now, how do I combine those? Let's go ahead and answer those. Can I combine them if they have not the same denominator? Nope. So that's going to make change. Here we go. I'm going to go to the arcade. I need a 4. Let's give ourselves a 4. 4 over 4 is what? What's 6 times 4? It's negative 24 over 4. Now we can combine these together. Right? Why? Because 6 is 24 over 4. I'm making change. And this becomes negative 49 over 4. Good job. Yeah, good job. Thanks for responding in the chat, guys. You guys are doing a great job. Okay. What's time left? Okay. Now we're gonna do one more, and this is where there's a negative sign in the front. A negative sign is a negative 1. Okay. So this is the way I teach it. This isn't the way everyone teaches it. Most places actually teach it a different way, but I find this to be consistent with the way that we've been doing it so far. So if I say y is equal to negative x squared plus 4x, let's say minus 3, okay? So people will do it differently. Most people will get rid of the negative from everybody, okay? I am not going to do that. I am just going to get rid of the negative from the first two. So let's go ahead and let me show you what I do. So here's the extra step. I'm going to factor out the negative sign. So y is equal to negative x squared minus 4x. Close it. And then minus 3 on the outside. If you take a look, the negative was only taken away from the first two terms. And this is the way I teach it. Okay. We can leave the negative 3 later on the outside. We'll deal with it later. But right now, it will help us because when we transition to level 2 and, well, this is kind of level 2 already, but level 3, this method will help us a lot because it's the same method then. Okay. So the way I complete the square is I take out the negative. Now I want you guys to look at this problem, ignoring the outside world right now, ignoring the outside world. Hey, what would the perfect square be for that? Y is equal to negative x minus 4 squared. Oh, not 4, I'm sorry. X minus what? X minus, what would I do to bubble up? X minus 2. Remember how we always bubble up? Now, if you notice here, I left a little bit of space. I left a little space here. And the reason why is because I'm going to fill in numbers. I'm going to plug in my perfect C value right there. So what is my perfect C? Negative 2 squared is plus 4 minus 4. And if you notice, I'm going to write them all inside the parentheses. Please try to squeeze them inside the parentheses. Normally, I write them on top, right? Normally, I write them on top. But because we have a parentheses, I want you guys to remember that all this is happening inside this parentheses. Okay? It's all happening inside your house. What stays at home happens at home. That's just what happens at home. Okay? Now, here's the part I want you guys to focus on. I have x squared minus 4x plus 4. That's my perfect square here. We did a great job. Now, what number is left over? Do you guys see that the 4 here is left over? There's negative 4. But don't we normally mix the negative 4 with the 3? Right? We leave our leftovers. But here is the issue, and it's not hard. What is multiplying by the negative 4 before it can leave the parentheses? Now here's the story. You guys ever, it's raining outside and you want to go play outside still, and you're about to leave, and what does your mom yell at you? Don't forget the umbrella, right? Don't forget to put on a jacket. Don't forget. And here's what I need you to remember. Don't forget. everyone needs to put on a negative before they leave. What is a negative times a negative 4? Inside the house, it looks like a negative 4. But once it goes out, we have to multiply by that negative sign to allow it to leave the house. Negative 4 times a negative becomes a positive. Take a look what I'm going to do here. Everyone watch. I'm going to draw a little arrow for me, and that becomes actually a positive 4 on the outside. Why? Because it put on that negative sign to come out. Okay, that parentheses means everyone's being multiplied by negative. So everyone here is still being multiplied by negative. Hey, oh my gosh, dad's still watching the door. But if negative 4 wants to go out to play with the negative 3, it has to put on its umbrella, its jacket, its shoes, whatever you have to put on. You have to remember your cell phone. Okay, and that's this guy here. So negative times negative is a positive. Now it's playing on the outside. It's a positive 1. Now this is we didn't do this in like just one step, right? This one took us a little more time because now this is what I call a level 2 problem. A level 2 problem is when you have to factor out a number out. It might be an easy number, it might be a hard number, whatever it is. If it's not a pure x squared, you have to get rid of whatever number is in front of it because perfect squares only work with that pure x squared. Let's do this one more time. Y is equal to negative x squared plus 6x. Let's say plus, no, it's not, let's do minus 4. And then y is equal to negative x squared plus 8x minus 3. Okay, 2 problems. We're going to do them at the same time. Let's see if we can figure them out using the similar steps. Thank you again for those guys who are participating in the chat. It's helpful. Hopefully it's helpful to you. Okay, so first thing up, y is equal to, what part of this do we not like that would make this into a harder problem than originally? Would you guys be okay that the negative is what's messing me up here? So let's take it out. It's no longer level 1. We bumped it up to level 2, tech support. Negative x squared plus 6x. Leave some space. Negative 4. Okay. I want you to do the same thing. Oh, I made a mistake here. If I take out a negative, shouldn't this 6 become also a negative? Because I factor out a negative from the front and the middle. They both get a negative. Double check it if you want. A negative times x squared is negative x squared, and negative times negative is a positive. Okay, let's do the second one. Let's see if you guys can do the second one yourself. Don't look at me while I'm doing it. Go ahead and try doing it yourself. Negative x squared plus 8x minus 3. What do we get rid of? Okay, what do we have left? Oh, don't forget to leave yourself some space. It's a lot easier if you leave yourself a little bit of space. Okay, now, great job. We're ready to go. Now that we have its x squared, now we can finally start to complete the square. This first step is not completing the square. It's actually prepping. We're just prepping the work so we can easily complete the square. Y is equal to, here we go, negative, draw your bubble. Y is equal to negative bubble time. Bubble time. Now, what would you put in this bubble? What would you put in this bubble? Perfect, thank you. Hopefully you'll see that it's x minus 3 and x minus, what do you think? What's 8 divided by 2? 4, okay. That's us completing the square now. We are in completing the square mode. Now, what's a perfect C I wish I had? What's a perfect C I wish I had? Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9, plus 9. If I add 9, I minus 9. Okay, how about on the right side? What's the perfect C I wish I had? 4 times 4 is plus 16 minus 16, right? That's all the setup. Perfect, thank you. So we have our x squared plus 6, minus 6x plus 9. That's this guy here. Now we have to get rid of the leftovers. We gotta kick him out. Kick him out into the world. You gotta go into the world. But to leave the parentheses, we have to multiply by whatever's in front, right? You gotta put on your jacket to leave. So what's negative 9 times a negative in front? That becomes a, let me write it with the red. That becomes plus 9. That becomes negative 16 times negative is a plus 16. All right, now we have like terms here. 9 minus 4 is plus 5. On the right, we can combine those things on the last. 16 minus 3 is 13. And that's it.